Hello, my friends. Eric Lee here with Equity Real Estate, and we're going to be talking about a question that came up recently in an online post. A lot of agents arguing back and forth, different opinions flying, and one of my agents said, could you make a quick video about what we can disclose when we're in an offer situation, potentially a multiple offer situation, and what are the pros and cons? Not only what can we do, but what are some of the pros and cons of doing those things? So first of all, what we're looking at here is a little piece of state law, and it's the affirmative duties required of licensed individuals. I want to jump down here to D. This is section 1D of things that a licensee shall do. They shall have confidentiality as part of the fiduciary duty. Confidentiality, which prohibits the agent from disclosing without permission any information given to the agent by the principal, that's your client, that would likely weaken the principal's bargaining position if it were known. All right. Now, things that must be disclosed are known material facts. So if you're representing the seller, it would be a defect in the property, or if we go down a little bit more, the client's ability to perform on the contract. All right, so that would apply to both buyer and seller. So if you were representing a buyer and you found out they couldn't get the loan, would not be able to get the loan, then that's now a material fact and it needs to be disclosed. So now that we understand what confidentiality is, it prohibits the agent from disclosing things without permission, things that could potentially weaken the principal's bargaining position if it were known. So if I get contacted, let's say that I'm the listing agent, and a buyer's agent calls me and they say, hey, do you have any offers on the property? Can I disclose that? Well, not without permission. I can't. Could that potentially weaken my client's bargaining position? So if I say, no, we don't have any offers, that could be something that says, and I'm just throwing stuff out there, how people could potentially interpret it. They could say, well, there's nobody interested. We've got plenty of time. We can give them a lowball offer. Maybe I do have a couple of different offers. And if I disclose that, it could discourage a potential buyer from making an offer because they don't want to be in a competing situation. We saw plenty of that over the last few years, right? So the key here is this: without permission. I need to have this discussion with my sellers before I get put into this position. And if I haven't, then all I can say is, you know what, I haven't had discussion with my sellers yet as to what I can disclose regarding this or not. Let me talk with them and I can get back to you and let you know. So we would talk with our sellers and we could say, here's the potential ramifications of disclosing that we have multiple offers. It could discourage this person from bringing us an offer. And so I could just respond to them and say, I can't disclose that. If you want to bring me an offer, I would love to present it to my client. There you go. Now, is that buyer's agent going to be frustrated? Absolutely. You know what is going to especially make him frustrated is if he doesn't understand the law. Why can't you just tell me that? It's just a simple question. That was a lot of the arguments on that post that we saw on Facebook. Simple thing. How come you can't just be friendly? Well, because we have this silly little thing called fiduciary duty that the law requires of us. And sometimes that means that we're not as friendly as you may like us to be, okay? Because we're looking out for our client's best interest. Now, what if my client says, yeah, go ahead and disclose it to him. In fact, you can tell him the price of these other offers. Could I do that? Well, of course, it's legal to do. It's a lawful instruction. If we jump up here to obedience, it's a lawful instruction from the client. And maybe they're thinking, if we disclose the price of this other offer, then they'll give us a higher price. And that might be in the client's best interest there, right? So maybe we have that discussion with the client and they say, disclose it all. Could we do it? Sure, we could. But let's talk about that one in a little bit more detail. All right, if you're buyer agent number one or buyer number one, and you're working with this seller and you find out, let's say that a buyer number two comes along, you're not aware of them yet, and the listing agent does disclose to buyer number two under direction from their client, disclose all the details of buyer number one's offer and see if we can get something better from buyer number two. And what you find out is then the seller comes back to you, buyer number one, and says, hey, we've got buyer number two, and they gave us this price. Well, it doesn't take too much of that before both buyer one and buyer two catch on that they're being played against each other. And nobody likes that. All right. Nobody likes this idea that anything that they say could just be one-upped by the other party. And that could go on indefinitely. Most people will bow out rather than play with somebody that plays like that. And so even though the law says we could, it certainly is a lawful instruction from our client to disclose that information to the other party. It's probably not wise. And it's usually not if we go up here to loyalty, it's usually not in the best interest of the principal to disclose that, because it will discourage people from playing with us. So what do? Typically, we just disclose and say, look, we're in a multiple offer situation. Everybody give us your best and highest offer. And then we can further determine, depending on the multiple offer disclosures that you use, you still have the further right to negotiate fine details out with your number one prospect. All right. So typically when somebody calls and says, do you have any offers on the table? Again, we have that discussion with our client, and the client might say, yeah, let them know, and that we're in a multiple offer situation, and we'll send that disclosure out to everybody. Typically, that's the best response. All right. We could also say, you know what, I'm not at liberty to disclose that. If you've got an offer, please bring it in. We would, be happy to look at them. So my advice would be, have the discussion with your clients, obviously, right up front as to what you're going to disclose. I would say if you do have other offers, that you should disclose that you have other offers, because you're going to be following it up shortly with a multiple offer disclosure form anyways. And don't disclose details of those offers, because again, people see that as not playing fair, and then they just decide that they're not going to play with you at all, which means that you're not getting offers for your client. Hopefully that makes sense. Not sure if it settles any of the arguments that were out there. I know a lot of people had different opinions, but it really all comes back to these fiduciary duties of loyalty, obedience, and confidentiality primarily here. All right. Thanks, guys.